Hi, everyone. Welcome back to part 2 with rock god Kenny Wilkerson. We're happy to have him back. As we mentioned in part 1, he's a member now of the American Smithsonian Historical Museum with some rock clothing. He's a very successful published author of one of my favorite cookbooks. And he's also on a very popular radio show called Real Talk with G Love and Kenny the Rocker. Welcome again, Kenny. You're like family.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, and don't forget, I've been in a band for 35 years, too, called Nova Rex. Just a little band.
I'm sorry. Nova Rex. My favorite right there.
Kenny, talk about this. When we last left off, it's like a segue. When we last left off, we were talking about Rockin Recipes, and we were talking about band members who had recipes in your book, if that was correct. And
yeah,
exactly. And then, not to put Sherry on the spot, we'll put some of her friends on the spot. I think some of her friends who are your new fans, and maybe it's old fans, have been cooking out of your book, the books that they've been receiving. I think that's
that's totally awesome. I'm totally grateful. Yeah, that's totally awesome. Yeah.
Oh, no, my friends, they love this book. And, this is a really great gift for the women out there because, it's a conversation piece when your husband is cooking like Chris Major, of Pretty Boy Floyd, his filet mignon. So, if you want to have food served to you by a rock star, this is the next best thing. There's some great recipes in here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Like I said, I worked on it. It took me a couple of years to get it together. Again, I have a son who has Asperger's, which is a form of autism, high functioning autism, but went through it all through school, through grade school. We had him in even autistic school for a couple of years, first couple of years of high school. And so I see other people, I've related to that. It's like a club that we're all in. And then what happened was I just had a couple of recipes from a radio show that I was doing. And guy gave me a recipe, then it kind of became a thing. I started getting more recipes. Then I actually got a charity called We Rock for Autism. It's a 501c out of South Florida. And they do music therapy for kids, which is totally in our wheelhouse. So then I started buckling down and reached out to the rock and roll community and friends that I've been on the road with. And you have it, Rockin Recipes for Autism.
Yeah, no, and another one, and they're easy to do, but they do a nice, rocker spin on it. Like Gabriel Keyes, he's got a really good pancake recipe. So all the men out there, if you really want to treat your lady, give her breakfast in bed with that. That's a good one.
Well, Gabriel's the singer for, Crash Diet. And
yes.
he is, his recipe was Swedish pancakes.
Ooh.
Because he's from Sweden. That's where he's at now. He lives in Sweden.
Yeah, no, but,
so get a little extra,
and there's so many, great photos, great stories, but I got to tell you, one of my favorite photos is this one with your rock queen.
Oh, right. Well, she's just saying, hey, look at her. She walked by me. What are you saying over there? Rock queen. She split. She don't have any makeup on her now. She's like, I'm not being seen.
All right, so
next time.
Terry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to order his book today because we've been donating to a bunch of people. So, all right. So it's Kenny Wilkerson and Rockin Recipes. That's the one I'm going to order today.
I appreciate it.
Because when you get the pancakes, I got to have pancakes.
Right. No, there's all kinds of good stuff in there. I'll give you one that just, so everybody heard about Frankie Benelli from Quiet Riot, who passed away just days ago. Yeah. Unfortunately with pancreatic cancer, but he's my second recipe in the book. He's got pumpkin ravioli. So if you want to see what Frankie cooks or what Frankie enjoyed cooking, but I definitely got a lot of guys: Doug Audrey, Steve Lukather, Ricky Rocket from Poison. A lot of good guys in here.
Well, Daryl Gray, if anyone's a big fan of Kraft Dinner, anyone sending their kids to school or university, if you can, there's a really good twist on Kraft Dinner with Daryl Gray of Helix.
Yeah, that Canadian band. Yeah. No, I like that one. I'm glad he did that one because that's how we all used to eat, back in the day, right? Between that and ramen noodles and spaghetti and all that. So it was good that somebody put something like that in there. I thought it was cute.
You know what? You got me thinking about Frankie. We did the Hollywood Film Festival did the documentary on Quiet Riot, And I didn't know Frankie then, and it was an honor to meet him. There's a, I think I have a picture. I got to put it up. It's a picture of me, him, Kevin Smith, and Mick Foley. Believe it or not.
Oh wow!
Because we were at the Hollywood Film Festival, and it was films that they chose in 2014. Mick Foley had he loves dressing up as Santa Claus. In case you don't know him, the audience out there, he's one of the wildest wrestlers. Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind. But he really loves to dress up 24/7 as Santa Claus. So it was this movie based on all Santa Clauses and how they prepared throughout the year. Well, Quiet Riot had their documentary, and I didn't know anything about them. I mean, I knew their music, but I didn't know how the members got together, and Frankie was there.
Right.
It was an honor to meet him, and I never forgot. He was just the nicest guy.
Yes, very nice guy. They're putting out a petition right now trying to get him to be mentioned at the VMAs that are coming up on Sunday, which they shouldn't have to petition. The thing about Quiet Riot, they started a lot. If it wasn't for them, there would be no other bands behind them like that. I mean, that's the world I live in. And if you remember at the time back in '82 or whatever it was when that album came out, they broke a lot of, they went top 40. They were one of the biggest bands in the world for just for a minute. And for me, I was always an Ozzy fan too. You know, that whole Ozzy Quiet Riot thing kind of overlapped with Randy Rhoads was in Quiet Riot. Then Ozzy got him. And then, you know, he had that plane crash. And then Rudy Sarzo came over from Quiet Riot, then went back to Quiet Riot to make all the big hits. And what's really funny too, not even a week and a half ago, I actually interviewed Rudy Sarzo on my radio show. And I totally geeked out on him. I mean, he was my idol because I was a bass player, and I told a story about 1982. Not everybody had MTV at the time, but Randy Rhoads just passed away. They had that concert. They picked up Brad Gillis, who I just interviewed a couple of days ago on the radio show. And he came and filled the shoes, but Rudy told me that whole story, and it was pretty amazing. But obviously Frankie. And then a little thing with Frankie with us back in 1988, we were cutting demos for MCA Records. And Frankie played on one of our songs. We needed a drummer. Our drummer wasn't around at the time. We were just one-off songs at a time. We had, you know, we did 3, then we did 1, and we did 2. It's kind of a mess, but Frankie actually played on one of our songs, which I was always honored with. Yeah. God bless him.
Kenny, if you were to, because you're all interconnected, it seems now with this the stay-at-home thing. If you were to create your ideal band, no disrespect to Nova Rex, of course, but
right.
You as the bass player or you as the manager, who would you cherry pick as your bandmates? You know, if anyone was available.
Wow. Okay, so see, I'm a little confused because for singers, my favorite singers were soul guys, a little more rock or soul. Like I always liked Lou Gramm from Foreigner. You know, God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Paul Rogers, you know, from Bad Company. But if I had to get a rock and roll singer in his prime, man, David Lee Roth was awful hard to turn down, you know, something crazy like that. But guitar players still another thing. I think my ultimate favorite guitar, and of course I can say Eddie Van Halen and guys like that, but I would say probably Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh.
Yeah, and I think everybody's been doing some stuff on social media, so he must have just had a birthday or something in his passing. But Stevie Ray Vaughan, maybe Tommy Aldridge on drums. That's a good one too. You know, that's Ozzy. Bass player wise, well, the best bass player in the world is probably John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. John Bonham's another one too. Oh my God. So yeah, it'd be tough. Can I put like 4 groups together? I don't know.
Of course.
I'm gonna say John Bonham on drums, Stevie Ray Vaughan on guitar. Man, I'd probably go with maybe David Coverdale on vocals, just keep it rock, and then so I guess that's pretty much it. I think I covered them.
No, that's good because I know with my friends, you know, whenever you're on a bonfire or something, we always say best rock video ever, best rock song. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's one of those things. And here you're actually, you know, a rock star. So it's great to hear what you would think.
That's what my mom says anyways.
Oh, no, that's what I say. I got a lot of friends on my Facebook when I posted your cookbook. So
Right. Hey, are these glasses too much? Is this looking super cool? Am I trying to be cool?
No, I like it.
Okay, good. These are my girls' shades. I just grabbed them real quick. Let's rock.
So, Kenny, with
Yes.
your radio show with G Love, you've
Yeah.
got access to quite a few of musicians. And with this COVID, would you ever want to be in a position to put on your own rock fest?
Not right now. No.
Not right
I
now,
mean,
but when you could, because like I say, you've got all the pathways now to all of the musicians, and I thought, man, you would probably put on the best show for.
well, but the thing is, I have done a few rock shows, so
Okay.
I seem to squeeze out a big one about every year. The last one I was involved in was in Bowling Green, basically a year ago. It was a 3-day festival, way over $100,000 budget just on entertainment. And I think that we did a Monday night was a thing that they had together called the Mud Fest. It was Puddle of Mud, Saliva, Saving Abel, and a bunch of other bands. Then on Saturday, we had the headliner was Jackal, Great White opened, and we had some other bands. We even had a band called Head East, if you remember those guys from back in the day. They were on that bill. And then Sunday we had Colt Ford, so the country guy. So I did that a year ago. Then a year ago March, I did one up in Daytona at the Daytona Stadium. It was Us and Winger, so I got to play that one. I actually booked it and played. So it was Us and Winger. Then Saturday was the Bullet Boys and Quiet Riot with Frankie, and then Saturday was I think about it. I forgot. I had another major act. I forgot who it was.
I'm thinking about this. Let me ask you this. Why do I like classic rock and now 80s music so much? What would be your opinion of that? Because how often do you have a black guy that likes rock and roll more than R&B, but I like them equally?
Well, like I say now, the 80s metal stuff, which is that whole kind of, your Quiet Riot, for instance, or your Van Halen, or hell, any of them, Motley Crue's classic rock now. So, so that happens. The next wave after this will be that little run of grunge. You have your Seattle bands. They're starting already. Your Alice in Chains, your Soundgarden, your Pearl Jam, all that, right? But they didn't have as long of like a legacy or whatever, an impact. It was really in and out, if you remember. It was just enough to knock the 80s guys out, and then they were kind of done. But it's the last generation of MTV like that as well. A lot of us remember the videos. Again, I talked to Rudy about Quiet Riot, and he said, look, they played Come On, Feel the Noise every 30 minutes on MTV for a year. So, yeah, it's changed. I mean, for classic rock to me is more like your Pink Floyd, your Led Zeppelin. You can even go Stones, I guess. It's just that they had longer intros. It was more about more of a jam band kind of a situation. Then when 80s metal came around, it still had that same feel, but more like big hooky choruses. Double guitar solo links, like Eddie Van Halen always does a kind of a double solo in his solos. So I think it's just a combination of the time frame, the age you grew up in, and the stuff you like. Now, a lot of these newer bands, there are a lot of just like one-hit wonders that don't have that hook. To me, music reminds me of stuff like the first time you kissed a girl, the first time you had sex, the first time you did this, the first time you did that. So first time you broke up with somebody, So all that kind of relates. It puts you in a time capsule. So when you hear that song, you think about that moment. And I just think those bands were just a little bit more talented, some of them. You know what I mean? I mean, guys like Led Zeppelin, they're unbelievably talented. To this day, they could come out today and just be just as big.
And that makes a lot of sense because I love Soundgarden. I love Limp Bizkit. And it was, I think the grunge had that 3 and 4. And then they started to fuse some of them, a little bit of hip hop. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. But really, music is really music. You can go back to Sly and the Family Stone, with Little Richard. And playing with the Stones. I think of when Prince opened for the Rolling Stone and he got booed off. And then there's a guy who ended up being iconic, doing the, going and writing his own movie and playing 23 instruments, but he loved rock and roll. You know,
Right.
to me, it's just being blown away. And then, you know, Gently, My Guitar Weeps, you know, getting
Clapton
together, and then Prince comes in and plays on that. That was phenomenal. A lot of people had never seen Prince playing with these people, but as you know, people get together and just jam all the time. Go back to
listen. I love some Prince. You know what I mean? So, but no, I think like I said, I was gone all last weekend, as Sherry knows, and I went to north side of Atlanta, Georgia, for a Harley Davidson 3-day festival. It's the first one that I knew about in 6 months. My band couldn't play it last minute. I had a drummer out, but I just said, well, look, you know, it's 6 hours away. I'll drive up there and just work it, you know, work the stage, you know, just be a part of it. And the very first night, Friday night, was a DMC from Run DMC.
Oh, wow.
And he said, we know, Hall of Famer. And he came out and he said, look, there would be no hip hop without rock and roll. And there'd be no rock and roll without the blues. And there'd be no blues. Well, you know, he just went down the path, but it's all intertwined. I mean, the bands that I like, you know, your Whitesnake, your Led Zeppelin, that kind of stuff, Foreigner even, they have that bluesy bass riff underneath. It's still bluesy. You know, to me, if you can't, I mean, pardon my French, if you can't screw to it or headbang to it, or sing along to it, it's got nothing for me. You know, I don't understand stuff that doesn't have either a big chorus or it's got that sexy groove. You know, I mean, everybody loves, you know, Barry White, you know what I mean? Because he's got that sexy groove, you know? So yeah, it's all about the groove, baby.
Do you think Nova Rex would ever do a crossover similar, as you were just saying? You know, my favorite was, you know, Run DMC and Aerosmith when they Walk This Way. Would you ever want to do something like that and cross?
I've tried a little bit, you know. We had an album out in 1999 called The New Kings, and it really, at the time, we were lost on our direction because the 80s metal was done. And so we did an album, and honestly, it sounds more like 9 Inch Nails than it did, you know, Motley Crue. So I tried all that. The problem is now is that album doesn't do any good for me. Nobody cares. Nobody, you know, it was over. You know, you talk about you like Limp Bizkit, but I mean, I haven't heard anything from Limp Bizkit in years. It was just in and out. I mean, there's Kid Rock, but you see how Kid Rock's morphed from rock to rap to now he's country. You know, it does happen. We're working on an album right now. We're in the beginning stages of it. We got a song down and working on some other stuff, but I always like doing one cover on a new album. And my first instinct, and I haven't figured it out yet, was probably do a rock version of a country song. Because, you know, the new country sounds like rock. Minus the twang and maybe a steel guitar or a fiddle, it's rock. Big choruses, big solos. I mean, I always go back to that song, She's Country. And the only thing country about that song is the name of the song. That song kicks ass.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite ones like that was, remember, Nelly and Tim McGraw, Over and Over Again.
Good one.
I like that one. And then Michael Bublé and Blake Shelton did one, but maybe it has to be a ballad. I'm not sure, you know. Well, you know who I think you'd be great with would be Pitbull.
Oh, right, with Miami. Yeah, I track him down.
Yeah, I could see that. And then you guys doing Super Bowl.
Oh, well, God bless you, by the way.
Let's start it now.
I play in the Super Bowl parking lot. I don't have a problem with that.
No. Think bigger and it will happen.
You know, the other one that's recent was the rapper and Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh, yeah.
That song was #1 for the whole year. I think it was #1 all last year or something, wasn't it? It was the biggest song of the year. So, yeah, it does, but you just have to, it's a timing thing, too. I mean, hell yeah. Would I like to go do, you know, have Snoop Dogg rap on something? Hell yeah. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, Kenny, how did you end up going, like, how did you end up working with G-Love on a radio show? Because you're both very good. You have amazing chemistry.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, you know, our show is basically rock and roll and sex. That's what I was going to say. So no, not because we had sex. No. The thing is, what happened was G-Love was doing a internet radio show. And so I came on as a guest. And then after I said that, I said, look, I know a bunch of rock guys, I can call buddies up on Mondays, whatever. So she ended up switching locations, called me over. I used to come and do a Monday night. She used to do it 5 days a week, but I just came on Mondays and did a 2-hour internet radio show, and I just interviewed my buds, right? And then we got picked up with a new radio station, which is celebrating their 1-year anniversary, like on the 9th of next month, like in days. And we're selling our 6-month anniversary on Tuesday. So we're kind of right behind them. But we had a podcast and or internet radio show. It's not a podcast, it was an internet radio show. And we knew one of the DJs at the radio show. And I went and did that show as well, because I'm just out promoting the book. And they just heard about our show, and it was pretty easy sales pitch at that point. So we just filled the time slot, Yeah, so yeah, that's how we've been there. So yeah, I've been doing it every day for 6 months.
Sitting in that chair, Kenny, if you could interview, past or present, who would your go-to interviewees be?
I got two bars on that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I just did Brad Gillis and Rudy Sarzo in the last 10 days. So that was pretty huge for me. But I would say I kind of want to interview Billy Idol, honestly. So Billy Idol would be a good one. I'd love to interview, the singer from AC/DC, Brian Johnson. That would be pretty cool. Just guys I looked up to. I mean, but dead, it would have to be definitely probably, Morrison, Jimi Hendrix. I mean, come on. Everybody wants to know what happened there,
Yeah.
Kenny.
Who would you want to interview?
Myself?
Yeah, who would you want to interview?
I would like to talk to Johnny Carson.
That's a good one too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's no interview man like that. I'd like to interview him and see what he thinks of today. And of course, Walter Cronkite about reporting of current events if he sees anything there. Gene Simmons.
Oh, you want to interview Gene Simmons? That could happen. So I actually got a little story about Gene Simmons. You want to hear it real fast?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 1987, 88, in Los Angeles. My guitar player, the original member that was with me, JP Cervoni, he had, he was married for a couple years. But anyways, his wife was a clothing designer in California. And Kiss, when they took their makeup off, they changed into like a different look. They had, not after Lick It Up and all that stuff with all the spandex and the zebra, whatever. But after that, they had a look where they were wearing these kind of airbrush leather jackets that had like spikes on them and stuff. It was a whole thing they had for a couple of years. And his ex-wife made all the clothes for them. So then we had a contact. I went up to the Hollywood Hills, me and my guitar player at the time, and we went and had a meeting with Gene Simmons. And we had the demo, Turn It Up Loud, which is out there on YouTube. And we took that to Gene and played it for him. And I remember walking in the house, and Shannon Tweed, who's a beautiful model and actress in her own right, was breastfeeding her son, who's I don't even know how old he is now, at the kitchen table. Was this a trip for me? And I'm like maybe 19 years old, maybe 20. And then just went and talked to Gene about the song, Turn It Up Loud, which was basically a ripoff of Kiss anyways. I mean, we came from that scene. I mean, it's like Lick It Up. It's kind of the same. That was it. And then I seen him a couple years later in Indianapolis, and he let us in the back door at the arena to watch him.
When it comes to marketing bands, I think Gene is one of the best.
No, Gene is one of the best, and if you ask Gene, he'll tell you he's one of the best.
Yeah, I mean, he has. And his son, Nick, when he walked in was a baby, Nick was like, Dad, you don't know what you're doing. And I just like saying, how dare you say that to Gene Simmons?
Well, listen, I'll tell you, he's got things. Now, I'm not hating on Gene. Gene is the biggest P.T. Barnum in the world. He is. But not everything goes to plan. You know what I mean? They've had a couple things, but I mean, there's so much with this Kiss Army and so many different things. I mean, like I said, you can still buy a coffin, I think, right? A Kiss coffin. I'm sure he's selling Kiss masks. I mean, they sell everything. So Kiss condoms. I mean, it just goes on forever. Do you remember just a couple of years ago? Well, not even a couple of years ago. A year ago, he was trying to trademark the horns.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right.
And I thought, just the publicity out of that for $1,000 to throw a patent, you know what I mean? Just to file the paperwork on it. I don't think it was even that much. The publicity was out of control. So he's smart that way.
He is.
Yeah, he's smartest guy in rock and roll. Biggest, yeah, he's definitely, like I said, P.T. Barnum in rock and roll. I look up to that guy on that level for sure.
How do you like the grind of being able to have your show every day? How is that?
How do I like it?
Yeah. How do you like that?
It gives me something to do during the pandemic. Without that, I'd probably be in some serious trouble. It gives me something to look forward to, and I'm excited to interview. I mean, I'll be real. Obviously, I like interviewing the national artists. I like having, like I said, the guys on the posters of those guys on my wall. So being able to interview those guys. We do indie artists on Wednesdays, which we've interviewed up in Canada. There's a band called Crownlands. We interviewed them a few months back, and just in the last couple of weeks, they got a big Universal deal. So I feel like I'm a little bit responsible for it. You know, we find these young bands that never get love, and radio stations, as you know, they're one big conglomerate at this point, and you can't get any love from any of them. Nobody, there's only one person controlling everything. You know, it's not like back in the day when you could go to Pittsburgh to a local radio station, give them your cassette, your CD, whatever you got, and if they liked it, they play it. If they play, and the people liked it, they would request it, and then you just get that buzz going. Impossible, absolutely impossible to do these days. Now you can put it on YouTube and be heard, but then again, everybody can be heard. So nobody gets heard. So, but I don't even remember what the question was. Oh, the show. So yeah, that, and then on Fridays we get to interview people like Sherry, which was awesome, and we did Sue Wong as well. My buddy Justin Allgaier, the NASCAR driver, which we interviewed him on Friday, the day before the races kicked back in again, which was kind of great timing. And you guys know Eileen, right? So I'm interviewing her tonight. So
Brian, just to put it into perspective how great his show is, just before I went on air, I've never had anyone say this to me before, and your manager goes, "Keep it clean." I'm like,
keep it clean.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what it is it's Eric. Eric, we call him EZ. Because he's mellow, but he's the producer of the show, and he you wouldn't believe how many swear words come out of people. What happens?
So that doesn't get you.
Well, and it's FM radio. You can't, there's like still the 5 words that George Carlin, whatever. But the thing is, you get relaxed, and rock and roll guys a little mouthy a lot of times anyway. So you get relaxed, start act like, you kind of forget that you're on the air, which that's a good thing. That's good. That's what you want to have happen, just like we're doing now. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because Kenny, you've got such charisma, as I said in part 1. But you have to go and see the interview that G-Love and Kenny do with Rudy, because you were a little starstruck, and you can't see you, but I could feel it, and you like what I
told him up front I was going to geek out on it.
It was so great because it humanized you.
Well, he was an idol on that level. I mean, here's how I reached out to Rudy. Somebody didn't give me his email, and I just wrote, "Rudy, I have a radio gig. It's pretty cool. It's on FM. I interview rockers." I mentioned a couple of guys I've already done. And I said, "By the way, on a side note, I play bass, and it's all your fault." And then I just said it like that. So he thought it was funny.
Wait, you know what? When I sent you a message about your cookbook and you responded, "Do you know how many people I send a copy of that to?" I'm like, he responded.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah.
I think that's great. Last question. What do you want?
Yes.
I don't know about you. What's the important word to get out on you, your show, and what you see between now and the end of the year when it comes to music?
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. As far as me, my favorite color is blue. No, I don't know. For me, I just want to be. I'll tell you the thing about me. This is the truth. I'm loyal like a dog. I'm loyal to people. I still do rock and roll. Now, sometimes I wake up and I think, maybe today, I got to put on the monkey suit and go jump around, do the clapping thing like this. But sometimes I think of, doing other stuff. But I've had so many people support me over the years that I still feel like I'm pulling that wagon, So just that nice guy and went for it. You know, I mean, there's no brass ring. There's no such thing. You know, if I quit tomorrow and rock and roll, I've accomplished everything pretty much that I wanted to accomplish. Now, as far as the radio station, I just like to see it grow. You know, I like to we're already syndicated in Gainesville. So we got a station up there that syndicates us. The JBC Broadcasting themselves own like a dozen stations. So now there's a couple of country ones and this and that, but overall, I like to pick up a couple more stations from them. And then maybe down the road, actually be set up to have that, you know, bring in the big sponsors and bring in the big dogs. I would like to interview, you know, Joe Rogan and those kind of guys as well. As far as the music business, man, I do not know. I know that, you know, over the last couple of years, well, we just talked about how radio airplay is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how that works, and I'm in radio. I think that only thing that was really left out there for the bands was touring live. You know, these bands that you grew up with, you want to see them, you go see them live. And there's plenty of festivals, plenty of places to do that. Now, with the COVID, you don't even get that now. So I don't really know. I don't really know how a lot of these bands are going to survive. I don't know how the venues are going to survive. Hopefully this will all blow over with in a couple of months. And it's possible, you know, but the stronger survive. I mean, like I said, I tell my guys all the time, I said, look, we made it through the 80s, right? I mean, that was crazy. So we can get through this. So.
Sherry, you want to close with the book, please?
No, Kenny, I think you should re-execute that CD we talked about earlier. And you're one of those guys, you know, you sometimes see that question, who would you want to go to a barbecue with, or who would you like to sit beside on a long airplane ride? You're that man, because you're very diverse, you're approachable, you're just a great guy, man. And all great things are coming to you, and it's really wonderful to see. And like I said earlier, you feel like you're family with our show. So
well, ditto on all those levels. And my mom would be really happy that you said all that stuff.
Hi, Mom.
I just always throw it on Mom. I'm like, I'm pretty, right, Mom? Mom's like, yeah, you're the prettiest one. You know how Mom's. So my mom thinks I'm a rock star. That's all that matters.
Yep. And Monique.
Oh, well, yeah, but I put her through I put both of them through it, actually. Poor people, poor guys.
And with that, Kenny and Sherry, I want to thank you both, because Kenny, Sherry talks about you all the time, so it's like you're kind of ingrained in my brain for whatever reason. And
well, thanks, guys.
Rockin Recipes for Autism. Beat that. So all right, so I'm going to order mine today, because I'm tired of cooking stuff, and I'm like, I got to have the pancakes one now.
Yes, they're good pancakes, by the way.
With that,
the sweetest pancakes. We're
going to say goodbye to everybody. And if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours. And please go online and order his cookbook. Please subscribe to Sherry, because she just makes me laugh. I call her good luck now, you know.
Right.
We will see you next week. And thank you, everybody.